All right, good afternoon, Wellness Way Culture. Dr. Jeremy Maxwell here, and we have a special guest with us today. It's my mom. First time she's been on the show. She pops on all the time. Those of you who get on regularly see that she gets on and always makes her great little comments as, love you, son, or that's my son, and not that she's proud or anything.
No, not me.
So I am thrilled to have her on today because we're always looking for new perspectives. So today was a mama's perspective. So we started working with my mom with the Wellness Way approach about a year and a half. Mm-hmm. You were right off the bat with us. Mm-hmm. So hey Melissa, good to see you. A little Nebraska follower. One of Amy's good friends. So to start off, just to give you a little background with Mom. Mom's been a type 2 diabetic for quite some time. So we were pretty gung-ho with the Wellness Way model, and I was like, Mom, you got to get your foods tested because it's going to make all the difference in the world. So what was your initial thought when I said, you're getting your foods tested?
I thought, oh no, I'm not going to be able to have anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way most people are. And then they think, what if I can't eat bread? I can't, they think like that's everything.
Yeah.
Or that's the only thing on a food allergy test. But anyways, so we got Mom tested, and at that point, that's really all we started with was a food test. So you remember how many foods you had? Was it like
21?
21. So
yeah. 21
food allergies. And I think we were pretty similar. We both had all citrus, right?
Yeah, no citrus.
So no citrus. So anyways, you don't need to know all the food she was allergic to. But there's a lot of things in her situation, her case, that I hope a lot of you diabetics that might pop on, or you guys share this with some diabetic friends that will learn from her case, because she's learning along the way as well, aren't you?
Yeah, lots to learn.
So, number one, I know a lot of you that watch and follow, you get real excited actually about doing a food test, and you think that's all the Wellness Way is about. Well, today I'm going to show you, this is a good example as to why you got to get beyond the food allergies. Sorry, somebody's texting me. Beyond the food allergies and really test completely. So Mom started with the foods. We gave her a good regimen of supplements to begin with, and followed that probably 3 or 4 months before we did that stool test.
Oh no,
maybe even longer.
It was a year.
Was it? No.
Yeah.
Well, I did that in March of this year. Was that stool test and cardio panel?
Yeah.
So it was probably a good 6 months or more of just following her foods, and in all honesty, you didn't see much of a difference, did you?
Not a whole lot. Yeah. I couldn't tell that.
Maybe
much
lost
difference.
a few pounds.
Yeah.
We didn't do anything to help in getting her to meet with her doctors about getting off some of the medications, because she was on insulin, glimepiride, and metformin, and Genument, or Genumet. I can't even keep up with all the drugs they keep coming up with. So finally, the more we're understanding about just all the things that need to be done to really complete the picture, I was like, Mom, we got to do a stool test, because if you've got an infection, there's no way you're going to be able to balance out your blood sugar, and there's no way we're going to be able to just make steps to getting you back towards normal. And so when you guys hear me say normal, think back to the last live video we did when we were talking about homeostasis and which state do you live in. I mean, if you're on a drug or a medication, there's no way you're living in homeostasis. You're living outside of that in a state of either dysfunction or disease. There's just no way we can help a patient get back to normal. So we did the stool test. Mm-hmm. What did we find out?
3 different infections.
3 different infections.
Plus now, I had trouble with colitis before.
Yeah. So and all of that, like the poop hit the fan, to say the least, right? So the interesting thing is, where it gets kind of interesting, is Mom has an endocrinologist that she works with right down in Springfield, or just a general doctor, internist. And they, were not too hip about the stool test, honestly, because Mom had talked to them about that, and they didn't even think that was going to have any bearing on her blood sugar, her A1C, which was ridiculously high, which we got to get that down, and we're working on it. But anyways, we started working on getting rid of that overgrowth of bacteria in the gut there. And in just a matter of maybe a month or two, I think you went in and had your blood redone to check the A1C.
Right.
And it almost dropped a whole point. It went from 7.8 to 6.9. So
Yep,
I was
that
like,
was
so
good.
do you think the infection might have anything to do with blood sugar and A1C? Big time. So, yeah, we kind of stayed with that. And as we got to that point, we started getting a little more serious about getting off the medications, right? So now I just want to let you have a little bit of time. So once you kind of started seeing, okay, this is for real, I can get off the foods, deal with an infection, did you kind of start to see, okay, this might be possible?
Well, yeah, my blood sugar readings had been really stable, and I thought, wow, maybe I can actually get off some of these meds. So I tried. I got off the glimepiride, and I really couldn't see a difference. As far as my blood sugar didn't go any extreme highs.
Right.
And as long as I stayed on program and ate what I was supposed to, everything was going really well.
Awesome. So, and you stayed with that pretty consistent for, because we started implementing a little bit of, some intermittent fasting, just trying to deal with, the insulin levels, because that was our next big giant, was we got to figure out how to get off the insulin. Hey, Tabitha, good to see you on here. Who else got on here? Brianna, I can always trust you, Brianna. So the reason I wanted to get my mom on today, she was in town with her husband and they're hunting. So a lot of you have kind of maybe pointed out, Dr. Maxwell, you always put on the happy stories. You only put on the good testimonies of, only the people having amazing results. Well, my mom is having amazing results and will continue to have amazing results. What's up, Dr. Flynn? But I wanted to bring her on because I think you guys need to understand the struggle is real.
Yeah.
Okay, when you're a diabetic, or even if you don't have diabetes, changing your lifestyle is not always easy, is it?
No, because everything you do is based around food. So
And Dr. Flynn, what's food? It's one of the most emotional things out there.
It is, and I'm definitely an emotional eater.
So, so this was probably a harder conversation that we had, because I could tell by the text I got one day from my mom, is she got a little sassy. So why don't you speak a little bit to what happened? Like, you were crushing it. I mean, you were doing good and feeling really good. But just speak to the audience a little bit about, like, just, mentally what was going on and what might have just been a little speed bump that kind of gets you off track a little bit.
Well, part of it was just when you've been depending on medications to keep your blood sugar at a specific level, it's really scary to think that you don't have that backup, so to speak. So I got a little freaked out, and that kind of messed with my whole psyche, and I had both of my sisters have been really sick, so a lot of stress going on in my life.
Mental stress
yeah,
is
mental
definitely a big
stress,
saboteur.
and so I'm a stress eater. So I started eating things that I shouldn't, and boy, I could feel it immediately. Ate a little bit of cheese on a piece of pizza, and boy, I started coughing again, and getting stuffy nosed and bloated and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, not so fun stuff.
No.
But what do we talk about today? And I'm just as guilty as this. I said, it's actually, I love it when patients go through this, because then not only do they understand that the struggle is real, but now they've really made the connection that this food does impact my body and my health. And I shared with my mom, because I know many of you perceive me as the most perfect eater and healthiest person out there, which is so not true. But I got sassy. I had a period of time here over the last, towards probably the end of July, 1st of August. There was just a couple of foods that I finally, was just like, I'm probably healed up from some of that. I've already had a couple of retests, and, here it is 2 weeks into introducing a lot of rice and potato in my diet, which I was still allergic to on the last test. And then all of a sudden, seasonal allergies are kicking my butt, you know, and they weren't forever. So, you know, I paid the price, and I knew that. I wasn't blaming anybody for it. I wasn't, you know, thinking anything else. It was like, okay, my body definitely doesn't like it. I had to get back on track, and now I'm been clean for, you know, 2 or 3 weeks, and it's nice to breathe again and sleep, and even now I'm off coffee. This is day 6.
Oh, goodness.
I'm on day 6 and no coffee. So just something I wanted to try. I'm not allergic to it, but I could tell my sleep cycle was off. But so I just wanted to have Mom get on and share her story because what did we talk about too? Conflict. Okay, I've had a lot more conflict with patients. Not that that's negative, but just had to get down to brass tacks and go, according to your labs, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You know, I had a stool test with a person the other day. It's their 3rd stool test, and they've absolutely made no progress. So we had those hard conversations, you know, and obviously when your son's taking care of your mama, that can probably get a little bit of a challenge sometimes. But we've learned through that, and Mom's getting back on track and
Definitely.
going to be steamrolling ahead.
Right.
So, but even now, like, you kind of been on track for what, another couple of weeks?
Yeah. Doing pretty good.
So we met up today, got a new plan, and we are getting her moving forward. And
yeah. So if you get off, you can get back on track, and it's normal.
it doesn't mean that the Wellness Way model doesn't work.
Right.
It just means we all got a little sassiness in there that gets in the way sometimes. But and you can speak to this a little bit if you would like. You know, we came prepared today. We weren't really sure what might happen with our interview. But I think many of you that are really emotional eaters would agree. There's just a lot of lies that are out there that we believe too much, you know. And Mom and I talked about it today. Is I think it really boils down to, and this is something within the Wellness Way that us docs work on a lot every day, is just our priorities of knowing that, you know, God's important and I'm important, and if I spend time working on me, then the time I invest in other people is huge. Because if I'm not putting out the best version of me, then I'm not helping my patients, I'm not helping Shelby, I'm not helping the kids, my staff. So, you know, there's just a lot of things that, different factors that I know you guys will struggle with. So, you know, we talked about just, you know, maybe one thing that you can start doing on a more intentional basis is every day, like, pick your top 3. Like, I'm going to work on myself, and who else am I investing in family-wise, and who maybe like church and otherwise because then you know you got to be on your A game, right? Right. And I think the more you spend time on your priorities and working on yourself, you don't have a lot of time to let those other lies come in and deceive you.
Well, as women, we always want to put other people first, and that's not healthy. We need to be healthy ourselves, so the people that affect our lives and we affect their lives will be better because we're our best self.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, if there's one lie that I think is out there, and I see it a lot amongst some other communities that we take care of. Hey, Charity. You see that? She's on. Oh, yeah. Moms kind of get put on the back burner, and you're maybe held up as the best mom because everyone else's needs go before yours. And, I mean, we see it over and over every day in here. Moms are some of the sickest people that we take care of.
Yeah.
And when I bring this up to them, I mean, innately, you all know it's true. Because as soon as I bring it up, they all just, here you go, have some tissue. It's true, you know. So it's just getting beyond that belief in that lie and knowing you are okay, ladies, to get up every day and put yourself first. It's not a selfish thing. It's the best thing that you can do. You know, those of you who have faith and believe in God and Christ, I mean, spend your time with Him first, then you, and then everybody else after that. So, and be consistent about it. Don't just do it once a week. It's got to be an intentional thing every day. so that you're growing and you'll find things that you got to overcome, different conflicts or people. We talked about people in your life. I'm sorry, probably going to offend some of you. You have people in your life, they suck. Literally the life out of you. So you have to set up those boundaries because many of you are making unbelievable changes and you're hitting a ton of resistance because you're improving not only your mental, physical, and spiritual well-being. So now you're leaving people behind and that makes them feel uncomfortable. So what do? They start to question what you do. Well, that's not FDA approved or chiropractor. What the heck does he know? I mean, I hear that all the time. I'm like, I don't care. People are getting well with what we do and the information we show them and the different approach that we take. So, so if there's one thing I would really encourage you guys today to take, and I'm probably talking to you moms specifically, is carve out the time. You know, I know some of you aren't early risers, but there's a great amount of peace to just, if it's even a half an hour before the kids get up and start writing down some of your priorities and put yourself first and get yourself well. You know, I mean, think about over your lifespan. I mean, how has your mindset changed over the last 10 or 15 years on where you were way back when?
Oh boy, I wish I'd have known all of this when you were a baby.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be where I am today.
Right.
Struggling with diabetes, you know.
Yeah. So.
Because I would have eaten better.
Yeah. Eating better, figure out how to deal with stress better, how to deal with conflict differently.
Exactly.
You know, we talked about this at the Hormone Connection seminar when Dr. Flint was in. You know, probably one of our biggest reasons for getting this message out is so many of you who are watching, we change the trajectory of our kids. They're the ones that really need to know this information. Not just know it, but live it, you know. Too many young girls, you know, even your age, way back when you were little, were doing things that really screwed up their health going forward, like the pill and antibiotics. And so, anyways, I don't want to get off on any crazy tangents there, but it was just fun. I love being able to just bring people in and hear their story, hear their journey. But I mean, I see it, even though it's not a road of perfection. I mean, that's one thing I want is people understand is this road's going to wind back and forth, up and down, but the end game doesn't change. It's just getting you back towards normal. Right. And even though, you know, you had speed bumps, I mean, I've visually looked at you for a long time now, and just, you know, the amount of joy and just how, I mean, I see it in you. There's just a big difference in just, you know, your ability to get out and do things still, despite, you know, a few hiccups and, you know, maybe a hip or a foot here and there. But, you know, that's why I love doing what I do, because these tell it all. So, any ending words you want to say today?
Just keep on keeping on. If you fall off the wagon, just get yourself back up there and keep going, because it can only get better.
Yeah. So make sure the Wellness Way is who you call first. All right? Even when you fall off the wagon, make sure you just call, because I don't like it if I don't see you guys for 2 or 3 months and I'm thinking, where have they been? And then they come in and you find out, well, I finally had to get an antibiotic. And I'm like, what the heck for? Well, I had a cough for 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm like, why didn't you call us first? You know, we might have had some other kind of approach that might have gotten you through that instead of compromising some things. So if you got a priorities question, if you have a mental question and a stress question, just call. We're here for you guys. So
yeah, I actually got through a whole case of colitis this time without any antibiotic. Yeah. Because of my good son here.
So it can be done, you guys. So appreciate you guys all following. Hey, future Dr. Sarah Rowling, keep watching the Wellness Way. You need to be getting plugged in with the different avenues of Wellness Way. So private message me and I'll fill you in on all that stuff. So who else got on here? Danya, that's a new one. Good to see you on here. Tabitha, awesome. So appreciate you guys. Share the message, share it with your friends, because more people need to understand the Wellness Way approach, and that we don't guess we test. So you guys have a great weekend. Stay warm. It's going to be chilly tonight, and we'll look forward to touching base with you next week.